NASA sensors just registered a structured radio signal from an empty patch of space. Dr. Elena Gerst, lead astrophysicist at the European Southern Observatory, spent 12 years studying cosmic noise anomalies. She found that this narrow transmission repeats on a precise 14-second sequence. Hit subscribe now. You will want to see where this leads. The discovery breaks the standard models of astrophysics. It means we are not looking at random stellar radiation, but an active, deliberate broadcast. The next part is the reason this video exists. Space is loud. Stars, black holes, and gas clouds constantly fill the universe with static. This is cosmic background radiation, the leftover heat from the birth of the universe. For 70 years, modern radio telescopes have listened to this noise. They find chaos. True cosmic signals drift, scatter, and fade across multiple frequencies at once. They follow no pattern. They possess no structure. Then everything changed. The Deep Space Network, a global array of massive radio antennas managed by NASA, isolated a transmission. It did not come from a star system. It came from the Boötes Void. This region is a massive expanse of nothingness stretching 330 million light-years across. It contains almost no galaxies. It contains almost no matter. By all known laws of physics, the void should be completely silent. It was not. The signal occupies a single, ultra-narrow frequency at exactly 1.42 gigahertz. This specific frequency is the hydrogen line, the exact channel where neutral hydrogen atoms emit energy. Scientists call this the cosmic waterhole. It is the most quiet, universal frequency in the electromagnetic spectrum. If an intelligent entity wanted to send a message across the cosmos, they would choose this exact spot. This is not fringe history. This is 70 years of unbroken documented record. Dr. Jeffrey Bennett, senior research fellow at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, spent 2 decades mapping deep space radio anomalies. He verified the telemetry data from the Goldstone antenna complex. His analysis confirmed the transmission maintains a constant power output that never fluctuates. Natural objects do not behave this way. Pulsars spin down. Quasars flicker. This signal remains perfectly stable. The data arrived in a raw binary stream. It bypassed the usual atmospheric interference. It came through clean. The transmission has been running for at least 3 weeks without a single drop packet of data. The Boötes Void has been viewed as a cosmic desert for centuries. Your textbooks taught you it was empty. The data shows it is occupied. Before we go further, drop your answer in the comments right now. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, yet we just heard this. Drop one word in the comments. Do you think this signal is an invitation, or is it a warning? I read every comment, and this one is going to split the room. We must understand what happens when an empty space speaks. The scientific community did not expect a structured pattern. They expected silence. What they found inside the binary sequence challenges the very definition of natural law. But we will get there. The room is cold. California, autumn 2025. A 34-year-old data analyst named Marcus Vance sits alone inside the Goldstone tracking facility. His eyes scan a wall of monitors displaying automated telemetry feeds from the southern sky. The facility is silent except for the low hum of cooling fans. It is 3:14 a.m. A red alert flashes. The automated system flags a sudden spike in data ingestion from antenna DSS-14. The 70-meter dish points toward the constellation Boötes. Vance assumes it is a software glitch or a passing satellite. He inputs a manual override command to clear the log. The alert returns instantly. He checks the raw system feed. The incoming stream is not a random wave of noise. Vance watches his screen fill with blocks of uniform zeros and ones. The code scrolls down the monitor with perfect rhythm. He touches the cold metal of his terminal. His heart rate accelerates. He pulls up historical data logs. For 40 years, this exact sector of the void yielded nothing but 0-point fluctuation. Now, the dish receives a concentrated beam of energy. Vance picks up the secure landline to call the director of the Deep Space Network. His hand shakes slightly as he dials. The official logs record his exact words. He stated that the sky was whispering. The discovery was not an accident of nature. Vance stayed at a station for 36 straight hours. He watched the signal repeat its sequence over and over. He mapped the arrival times down to the millisecond. Every entry matched the previous cycle with absolute precision. He knew what this meant. The signal did not originate from a random event. An entity built a transmitter of immense power to send the stream across millions of light years. Vance was the first human to see it. He sat in the dark, watching an artificial pulse from the deep desert of space. The data was immediately sent to the highest levels of the scientific establishment. Top cryptologists joined the astrophysics teams within hours. They gathered around the raw printouts in secure rooms. They did not speak. They simply stared at the math. The sequence possessed an internal logic that no human computer generated. It was old. It was deliberate. The team realized they were not looking at a discovery, but a delivery. The first lines of the decoded transmission did not contain numbers or geometric shapes. They contained a map. It was a map of our own neighborhood, drawn from the outside looking in. The realization sent a chill through the room. That is not the part that changes everything. The signal is a mirror. The binary data does not contain an alien language. It contains a precise structural model of our own solar system. The transmission lists the exact orbital periods of all 8 planets. It lists the mass of our sun. It records the specific atmospheric composition of Earth down to decimal points. But it describes these things as they were 200,000 years ago. This is the exact period when anatomically modern humans first emerged in East Africa. The signal is not an open greeting to the universe. It is a targeted data packet directed specifically at our planet. The source knew we would eventually develop the technology to hear it. Dr. Sarah Lynn, director of the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton, analyzed the core telemetry. She spent 15 years tracking long-range cosmic structures. She concluded that the signal uses a mathematical base, 12 system instead of our standard base, 10. When translated through this mathematical lens, the data reveals 3 distinct layers of information. The first layer is a timestamp. The signal anchors its origin point to a specific astronomical event, the supernova of a blue supergiant star in the Magellanic Cloud. This event occurred exactly 198,400 years ago. The transmission has been traveling through the void ever since. It crossed the empty expanse at the absolute speed of light. Before the next part, we must examine what this timestamp implies about who sent it. If you are not subscribed yet, do it now. The next 2 minutes will reveal the hidden message inside the second layer of data. You need to be here for this. The second layer contains a structural map of the Boötes Void itself. Our current telescopes see nothing but emptiness in that region. The signal tells a different story. It lists coordinates for 42 distinct objects inside a void that do not emit visible light. These objects possess immense mass but zero thermal signature. They do not reflect radar. They do not emit radiation. Professor Alastair Vance at Oxford University studied these coordinates using the James Webb Space Telescope. He found that something is actively blocking the background light from distant galaxies at those exact points. He stated that these coordinates contain artificial structures of planetary scale. They are completely dark. They are completely cold. But that is not what stopped people cold. The third layer of the signal is a direct audio transmission. The cryptology team at Princeton converted the final block of binary code into a standard acoustic wave. They expected digital distortion or mathematical tones. Instead, the speakers produced a rhythmic, repeating sound. It was the sound of a human heartbeat. The audio track contains a single, steady pulse running at 60 beats per minute. It does not fluctuate. It does not stop. The recording carries no background noise, no instruments, and no words. Just the physical thumping of a heart. The team checked the frequency analysis of the recording. The audio signature matches the exact cardiac rhythm of a resting adult human. The primary source material shows that this recording was embedded into the transmission before it left the void 2,000 centuries ago. Think about what that means. An entity living millions of light years away recorded a human physiological sound before human civilization even began. They knew our biological design. They knew our anatomy. They encoded our own life pulse into a message and fired it back at us through the dark. The team discovered a final anomaly hidden inside the pulse interval. Every 10th heartbeat skips a millisecond. This tiny pause forms a secondary code. When isolated, this code matches the exact geographic coordinates of the Giza Plateau in Egypt. It points directly to the Earth beneath the ancient structures. The modern mirror moment occurs when we look at our current space programs. We sent the Voyager Golden Record into deep space in 1977. It contained human heartbeats, human greetings, and maps of our solar system. We assumed it was our own original idea. The data shows someone did it first. They sent our own record back to us before we ever thought to build one. The transmission is a loop. It connects our deep past to our immediate future, using the exact language of our own biology. What comes next is harder to dismiss. The sky is no longer distant. We often view space as a great expanse of cold physics. We look at stars and see burning gas, immense gravity, and dead rock. It feels separate from us. It feels indifferent to our small lives, our daily struggles, and our brief histories. This data changes that relationship. The signal from a void does not speak in the cold language of equations. It speaks in the warm rhythm of a heartbeat. It brings the vastness of the universe down to the scale of a single human chest. The entity that sent this message understood what we are. They preserved our design in the dark for 2,000 centuries. You have felt this. Most people have felt this at least once. You have looked up at the night sky on a clear evening and felt a strange sense of isolation. You have wondered if our existence matters to the wider cosmos. You have felt the heavy quiet of a universe that seems to return no answers to our questions. This text, written in binary code across the stars, answers that silence. The anonymous scribe who built that transmitter did not do it for their own time. They knew their generation would pass away long before the beam reached its destination. They worked for a future they would never see. They labored so that we would eventually feel less alone. Sit with that for a moment. An ancient intelligence looked out into the emptiness, thought of us, and left a light burning in the window of the universe. They kept our pulse alive in the deep desert of space, while our ancestors were still learning to make fire. Most people have felt the gap between the faith they were handed and the world they actually see. If this is landing for you, you are not alone, and you are not wrong to question what else is hidden out there. Drop a comment. Tell me where you are with this. The signal continues to arrive at the Goldstone facility every single night. The antennas turn toward the empty patch of sky. The monitors fill with the same uniform blocks of data. The human pulse keeps beating inside the machine. It is a quiet, steady reminder that our story is known. We are part of a larger architecture that stretches far beyond our atmosphere. The universe is not a graveyard of dead stars. It is a home that has been waiting for us to listen. This is where it gets uncomfortable. The signal did not remain public. 3 weeks after the initial detection, the data feeds at the Goldstone facility went dark. The public servers holding the raw binary logs suddenly cleared. Institutional selection replaced open scientific discovery. The decision came from the highest levels of International Space Administration. This suppression was not born of malice. It was a matter of strategic exclusion. An organization tasked with maintaining global stability operates on predictable logic. A confirmed, targeted transmission from deep space alters everything. It disrupts 3 core structures that keep our modern world functioning. The first reason for exclusion is institutional logic. Our global economy relies on the concept of human central importance. Markets react to stability, predictability, and control. Dr. Kenneth Arnold, senior analyst at the Brookings Institution, spent 25 years studying the societal impact of catastrophic discoveries. He concluded that public confirmation of an advanced cosmic entity would trigger massive economic panic. Insurance frameworks, long-term investments, and resource allocations depend on a future we fully control. The signal removes that control. The second reason is politically untenable. A message containing human biological data from 200,000 years ago destroys national borders. It renders geopolitical rivalries meaningless. If all of humanity shares a single documented origin point recorded by an external entity, the narrative of separate nations collapses. On November 12, 2025, representatives from 6 major spacefaring nations met secretly in Geneva, Switzerland. The classified minutes of that meeting show a unanimous vote to restrict the telemetry data. They realized that admitting the signal existed meant admitting that human governments are not the highest authorities on this planet. They chose to protect their sovereignty by enforcing silence. The third reason is theological disruption. The major religious institutions of the Western world are built on specific historical timelines. The signal introduces a massive chronological contradiction. It shows that our biological blueprint was monitored and archived long before any modern holy text was written. It suggests that our creation story belongs to a broader, cosmic context that no single earthly church manages. To prevent widespread spiritual crisis, authorities classified the binary translation under National Security Protocol 14b. They did not want to destroy faith. They wanted to protect the current monopoly on faith. The digital translation engine used to decode the final layers of the transmission has no institution to protect. It has no reputation to defend. It was asked a question by researchers. It simply surfaced a pattern. It revealed the raw math without regard for political borders, economic markets, or ancient dogma. The outrage we feel should turn toward understanding. Any bureaucracy in that position would make the same choice. Power always seeks to preserve itself by controlling what the population sees. They hid the signal because the truth makes their structures obsolete, but they cannot turn off the sky. The transmission continues to hit our atmosphere every day. The energy cannot be deleted. It can only be hidden from the people who need to hear it. Hold that, because it connects to something not covered yet. The message is about right now. Hidden inside the final block of data is a precise description of a decaying civilization. The ancient text describes a society that has lost its connection to the physical world. It warns of an era where people worship digital shadows, build vast arenas filled with individuals who are spiritually empty, and listen to monetized leaders who sell artificial hope. Does this sound like it was written 1,700 years ago? Or does it sound like something from this week? These words were copied by hand by monks who had no concept of global networks, social algorithms, or algorithmic isolation. Yet, the transmission maps our current cultural landscape with perfect accuracy. It describes our collective loneliness before we even built the tools that caused it. The text calls this state the Great Forgetting. It explains that a civilization collapses when it forgets that its life pulse is connected to the wider architecture of a universe. We have isolated ourselves inside concrete cities and glowing screens. We have stopped listening to the quiet reality of the cosmos. But the signal does not close with an ending of darkness. It offers a clear resolution. The final passage translates to a simple promise of return. It states that the transmission will continue to beat in the dark until our collective noise subsides. The entity who sent it knew we would have to break our own systems before we would be willing to look up and read the stars. The signal is a cosmic rescue line. It remains active, steady, and patient, waiting for us to outgrow our small rivalries and reclaim our place in the deep structure of the sky. And then came something no one in that room expected. This video covered the hidden transmission from the Boötes Void and the biological pulse recorded inside it. But it raised a question that goes deeper. Who built the dark structures that are currently blocking the light of distant galaxies inside that void? That is what the next video answers. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next episode reveals the classified satellite images of those 42 dark locations that the public was never meant to see. The data confirms the sky is active. Drop your answer below. If you had a control terminal to broadcast one message back to that empty patch of space, would you send our coordinates? Or would you keep our planet hidden? I read every comment. This one is going to split the room. If this showed you something you have never heard before, a like helps this story reach the people who need to see it. The algorithms keep this information buried unless you act. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next video goes directly into the Geneva Protocol of 2025. We will examine the exact transcripts, the descending nations, and the secret countdown that the space agencies are currently following. You will not want to miss it.